Because magnesium burns at roughly 1,000 Celsius, so it's actually hot enough to melt the aluminum. So that's why we use magnesium for our fuse. So then we stick the magnesium fuse into the thermite. So this has its own set of problems, because if the fuse goes out, then class is over. Pretty much. Because the last thing you want is this thing to go off in your face. So there's essentially 4 conditions of explosions. There's the condition where you wanted it to explode and it exploded, and that's good. There's the condition where you didn't want it to explode and it didn't. That's also good. There's the condition where you didn't want it to explode and it did. That's pretty bad. That's probably the worst case. There's also the condition, which we might end up encountering, where you wanted it to explode, but it didn't. That's usually the most nerve-wracking of the situations. Because in every other case, it's all too late, you've already blown your hand off, now you just get the medics. But if it hasn't exploded, but you wanted it to explode, well, now what? So, you have to make sure that your magnesium is long enough that you can get away from it. You have to make sure that your magnesium isn't too long so that it's going to stop burning, because that can do it sometimes. You have to make sure the magnesium isn't going to drip over and fall in and set it off. So you have to make sure your magnesium is of good quality and of sufficient length. If it's not, you're going to blow yourself up. Essentially, that's the conclusion. So, one of the times I actually used relatively poor quality magnesium, and let me tell you, that was a bad day. Because, it didn't go off, and we let it sit there for, half an hour, because I didn't want to go anywhere near it. One of my colleagues says that she has seen that demo go wrong. She saw a demo where the professor had a technician, and the professor pushed the technician to deal with a charge of thermite that didn't go off, and the end result was that the thermite went off in the face of the technician. So the lesson is if it was supposed to explode and it didn't, you let it stay there for a long time.
Lesson is don't be a technician.
Well, also don't be a technician.
Don't be a tech.
Except look at me. Here I am being a teacher. So then, since obviously we can set off the thermite on this table, and it's totally not going to be a problem. This is why we have, as previously noticed, Greg's sand. So you'll notice the wreckage of previous thermite experiments in Greg's sand.
I like Greg's sand.
So this is Greg's sand. So this is probably not going to survive. Because that's probably not going to survive, and I don't want my 5 grams of 2,000 degrees Celsius iron to do anything too untoward. We're going to put it inside a pile of sand. And in case that pile of sand isn't enough to hold the iron, we're going to put that inside a crucible, which we put inside more sand in another crucible. So we're pretty sure that our 3 grams or 5 grams of molten iron aren't going to go anywhere they're not supposed to. And then, since obviously it's perfectly safe to do this right here, we're going to go take it into a hood.
We're going to need the book.
So now, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Trying to hand you a mask.
Since it's obviously a good idea to try to light that magnesium with a match, which it's really not, because A, it's really hard, and B, it's just not a good idea. I usually rely on a butane torch.
Should we not look at the thermite?
If you can avoid
I should have
looking
brought
directly at it,
sunglasses.
but it's not like magnesium. It'll be fine. So what's going to happen is I'm going to light that magnesium. You're going to make sure you're not behind me and there's no chair, so I can GTFO. Actually, can somebody hit the black button on the control panel closer to the door?
Yay, we hit the right hit.
So now you're not going to breathe it in. We're going to hit the lights. All right, here goes nothing.
not gonna happen.
Alright, so now you can go scrum in and look at the chunk of molten iron that's still white hot sitting in the middle of that.
Oh my god.
That is molten iron at 2000 Celsius. You might want to rotate around a little bit so everybody gets to see.
Oh my god. I gotta put that next to the cylinder reaction.